Hello, everyone. Sergio here. Welcome, everyone, to this webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about how to set up a speakable activity for younger audiences, younger students. So, we're going to learn about the different settings and tools that there are so we can adapt speakable activities to younger audiences. By default, of course, we're going to be talking about older students as well, because we're going to be contrasting, let's say, what settings are going to be uh, better for older students versus younger students. So if you're teaching several different uh, school years, and ages, this is going to be for you. So yes, welcome everyone. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. We are on Twitter, YouTube, and on StreamYard, and we are broadcasting from StreamYard. So anything you need, let me know. I'm going to go back and forth between sharing my screen and coming to the comment section, so that we can, do a little both as questions arise. So yes, it's time to start. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. Share screen. Okay. So we are here, app.speakable.io, our website. So this is going to be okay. This is going to be over about young students, and the first thing you need to know is, as you know here, just without really wanting this, we already have like the first tip, right? Which is the cover images, right? So make sure that your activities are, I'm going to say, attractive enough and very clickable. And as you can see, there's one of these that clearly wins. These are some activities, some random activities I've been using, but in this particular case, we have one in Spanish that's called El Chigüiro Feliz, or the Happy Capybara. And just a nice picture will get your students started with the right foot. So how to set up a cover like this? When you create an activity and you select the language and whatever it is, starts from scratch, create with AI, import vocab list, you're going to have the possibility to add a cover image here. If for some reason you get too distracted in the creator and you start, doing the cards, and then you forget how to like to upload a cover, then don't worry, you can still do it later. When you finish the activity and you publish it, you can add the image here. So a good title and a good image will take you a long way. So let's get something attractive here. So it's like, we're going to talk about the animals. The animals. And of course, let's add a little picture of a zoo. Why not? If we're talking about animals, zoo illustration, I think this is too big. Let me see if we can find some more. I like this one. Okay, so we can use this one. So now we have a more attractive image for our students. And it's going to be, I'm going to say, not going to affect your students' grades in any way, but of course, an attractive experience is going to allow you to bring them into the full, like, more attention, with like from the get-go. You can always click on the preview to see what it would look like, and okay, this looks like a very child-friendly activity. So let's get started. So I guess before we continue editing the activity, let's just leave it there as a draft. And is it saved? There you go. It's saved as a draft. But the something I wanted to focus on before is the like general terms of the activity. So when you go over the Discover tab, you'll find that this is a good way to find activities that others are creating. And there are many good examples here, but there are also things that I guess you shouldn't really do. Like, always check if you're using someone else's activities, then always check them, because some of them might be just way too long, right? So for example, I'm not sure if any of these is super long, but I have myself created some that are super long that I would not recommend for younger kids. So let me see. Maybe I have one here in speakable activities. So this one, for example, even though I have an animals, let's take a look at this. It is rather long. This one has 24 cards, if I'm correct. Let me see. I think it has 24. Yeah, it has 24. So this would be probably too much. This would be a fine, this would be good length fine for older students. So say if your students are above the age of say 10, I would say 20 activities or 20 slides or more is fine. But if they're younger than that, I would stick to a maximum of 10 in general. And variety is also super important. So when you're browsing other people's activities, check like the type of activities. You can always like have an idea of how by clicking on here. Like you can click, this is one media page for multiple choice, 11 repeats, 6 respond, and to respond that written. So these ones are like, this is probably a good balance, but still very long. So let's see the El Chihuiro Feliz that I did before. It's still rather long, but it has one media page, 4 multiple choice, 7 repeats, 5 respondents, 3 written response. So again, it's always good to check the balance of it if you're using someone else's activities. But if you're creating your own, then yeah, a good rule of thumb is before like younger than 10, stick to 10 or less, right? Basically, as many as their age. That would be a good starting point. All right, so let's start. Oh no, never mind. We already had an activity created for this. We're going to delete this one that we just opened, and we're going to continue with the animals. Okay, the animals. And this is the cover image. This is correct. Let's continue editing. So let's add some content. The first thing is we're going to go over every single one of these options and how those apply to younger kids. And probably with younger kids, you're going to be using the repeat function a lot. So the repeat function, of course, allows you to add a text here. Like, for example, let's stick to the animals. The elephant is very big, right? Content that is appropriate for kids. So this, like the first settings that I'm going to talk about are probably settings that you should always take a look at, but more so when you have younger audiences. And those are here on the left in the settings, you can tweak them. And number one is pick a friendly voice, right? So you can test them out by just clicking on them.
Hi, my name is Sally. I will be the narrator of this assignment.
All right, and you can try other options.
Hi, my name is Joey. I will be the narrator of this assignment.
And you can check other accents.
Hi, my name is Emma. I will be the narrator of this assignment.
I like Emma. I think that she has a very friendly voice. So I'm going to choose Emma for this one. And another thing you can tweak here, like from before you start, is how many times your students will be required to repeat something. So if you have very young kids for which repetition would be a very good a thing to foster, then yeah, maybe 3 repetitions are a good way to start an activity. Leniency, this is another important one. So depending on how good your students are, how good your students' ears are, which again, when they are kids, they tend to have really an excellent ear for accents and pronunciation. So you might want to play around with this. Like if your students are true beginners, then maybe very lenient would be a good way to start so that the repeat cards are not as brutal. But if your students are young but very good, then go with with no leniency at all, and then your students will be required to pronounce everything really close to the model answer. And of course, normal for the normal settings. This is something else that, depending on the language, you would also want to tweak. For example, say French has very difficult phonetics, and there are lots of homophones, and or the differences between the male and female versions of certain nouns are so close that it's very difficult for the students sometimes to pick. So in that case, in the case of French, I do recommend that you change it to very lenient in those situations. For other languages like say Spanish or German, which have much I'm gonna say distinct pronunciation styles, then leaving this in normal or with no leniency would be a good way to go. But anyway, let's go back to the repeat card for younger audiences. So something else that you might want to do is not leave it to the Emma's voice in this case.
The elephant is very big.
Sometimes you might want, for very young kids in particular, to keep everything within your control. So you can, instead of writing the elephant is very big, you can record your own pronunciation. That way, when the students hit the play button, they will hear your voice. And that's a good way, I guess, to keep them in that safe space that they have already established with you. So bringing in another voice might be, a foreign element that might not be wanted in some situations. So if you want your students to hear your voice in and out of the class, then you can do this. Let's do this. So I'm going to click on record pronunciation, and the elephant is very big. And now this is going to be the text that we're going to use, right? And okay, so that's like in terms of the voice itself. But let's focus a little bit more on the other settings. So translation, and here hidden in the 3 dots, explanation. So depending on your student's age, this will or will not be a very useful feature. So it will not be very useful, for example, if your students are so young that they really aren't really reading yet, or they're not proficient doing that. So in those cases, maybe the translations, just avoid them for now, just skip them. Yeah, same thing with the explanations, because these are going to be text fields, like this is an explanation. And if we save it, it's going to be here, the same thing as the translation. So even though it's going to be a very friendly button, if you click on it, it's text, right? So if your students are not quite there yet, like they're not reading proficiently, then maybe skip the translation and explanation altogether. However, if your students are older and you feel that the translation and explanation fields will be important or will be useful, then by all means you can add them, right? I guess a little parenthesis before I leave, this unverified function is just simply because no one has used this particular combination of words, but you can simply test it and it will verify it immediately. So the elephant is very big. 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 Okay, so I needed to say it 3 times because that's what we set up in the repeat settings here, right? I can change it card by card, so 3 can be my default, but I can reduce it, right? So it could be just 1, but anyway, it's already verified. So anyway, to summarize the repeat cards. Number 1, you can add your voice if the voices that you can select here are not to your liking, or if your students would prefer to hear your voice. Translation and explanation, if your students already know how to read, but if they don't, then it's just better to have them with the audio file. The elephant is very big, and the repetition, and that's it. Again, and the repetitions, as many as you want them to say. So all they have to do is press the button, and they will be there. Again, we can click the preview. However, before we click the preview to see how it would look like, another huge thing for younger audiences, for everyone, to be honest, but especially for younger audiences, is the media section. So if I click on media, I can add a very friendly elephant to my, this is not, let's add illustration. And this is going to take you a long way. Like, for example, this baby elephant I liked. Let's add this baby elephant. So now we have a very nice, friendly image to go with our repeat card. If I click on preview, then you're going. The elephant is very big. What the students would see: the image, the text, and they can play. They can play the audio as many times as they want. The elephant is very big. This time it's my voice, not the default voice that was there, because we want the students to hear us and not the computer. And the repeat button. So this is a very user-friendly interface for beginners or young students to begin with. But there's some extras, as we mentioned. If you're including explanations or translations, they're going to be here in the little chatty button. Chatty, that's because she's our mascot. And also something else that's very useful for younger audiences is, in their view, is they can always, like, for example, if they hear the elephant is very big as one big thing, but they want to, hear the individual elements of that sentence on their own, it's like they can just click on the specific word.
Elephant.
Elephant.
Big. Very.
Or the entire thing. The elephant is very big, right? So that's something that they can do. Although, you know what, now that I think of it, this elephant is not very big. So, maybe I should have chosen a different um, picture. But anyway, this is kind of like the idea, to make this very attractive for a kid. Anyway, so that's, I guess, those are my tips on repeat cards, which, let's face it, for younger audiences are probably going to be what you use the most. But let's continue with another one, which is multiple choice. Multiple choice, again, is pretty simple, and this is, I guess, very understandable regardless of who it is that you're teaching, regardless of the age. But of course, we're talking about reading. So all of these options, your students would have to already know how to read. And if you're teaching a new alphabet, or for example, if you're teaching Japanese or something, you might want to add, like, this is a good way to add the sound here or whatever, like text, and then here are the syllables or the hiragana, katakana, kanjis that that coincide to this, like, with a prompt or question. Again, nothing specific for multiple choice in terms of audiences other than adding the media. So again, a cool, nice picture will get you a long way. So let's ask a question with a illustration of a tiger. Now that we're in the context of animals, let's find one that matches the other one. I like this one, kind of cartoonish. Okay, cool. And now we can say, what animal is this, right? And then we can just simply add the options. Option 1 is going to be elephant. Option 2 is going to be wolf. Option C is going to be bird. Option D is going to be tiger. And of course, we're going to select this one. Remember that if you want to add a question that has multiple correct answers, then select multi-select. In this case, it's not what I want. And if you're using this in the context of class and you don't want your students to copy off each other's screens, then hit shuffle, so that D, in this case, is not going to be D for everyone. It's going to mix them up. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which is the respond. Respond, again, is probably the most important tool we have at Speakable. This should be like the core tool, but there are some ways we can tweak it so that younger audiences are catered for. First tip is, of course, for younger kids, make sure that the content here, the question, is appropriate for their age. So of course, like, what is the difference between this and this, is probably too complicated a question to add here, but something like, what is the biggest animal, right? Something like that. And your students can say, oh, the whale is the biggest animal, right? And that would be enough, right? Because remember, response questions are there for your students to answer freely, openly, right? So depending on how complex your prompt is, the difficulty of the student's response is expected. So if I simply ask something like, what is your name, which is, of course, a very important prompt to have, and I can simply respond freely like this. My name is Roberto. And I can simply save my answer, and that would be it. Since the prompt is very simple, Speakable is expecting the answer to be quite simple. So as you can see, even though there were 4 words here, I still get a passing score. Good job. Your response is clear. It provides information the teacher asked for. Great job. Just remember, in future answers, being concise helps make your response even stronger. For your overachievers, if your students are doing very well, they can click on the response, and they can sometimes get like an expanded form of the sentence. But of course, this will happen if the prompt itself is rather complex, or let's say more complex than this. So there are several things we can tweak here to make things a little bit more child friendly. Number 1 is, again, if you don't want your students to focus so much on reading because that's not very engaging, they are not reading that well yet, then you can have it be an audio prompt. So I'm going to ask, What is your name? Yeah, and that is going to be the prompt now. I'm going to insert this, and now this is going to be the prompt. Your students, okay, let's add media just for the sake of consistency for what we have been doing. So I'm going to say classroom illustration. I like this one. And let's choose one. No, this is too boring. This is too cartoony. Let's add the simple one. Okay. So when your students get to see the question, if you want this to be an audio question, then simply record it. They will hear it like this. What is your name? And they can respond. My name is Maria. I'm going to save my answer. And well, of course, Chatty here is our mascot, and this is going to make things very easy, I guess, very I guess accessible for your students from the beginning. And as you can see, great job, Maria. Your response is clear, and so it's not a cookie cutter reply. So the feedback that you're getting from Speakable is not like a generic one. It's going to be a full analysis, I guess, of the student's answer. Okay, this is one's very small, but already Speakable knows that this student's name is Maria. And these are the suggested response, so that's perfect. It's all going well. Let's go back to the builder to tweak some more settings. So we tweaked this from a written prompt to an audio prompt. But what if you want the picture to do the talking, right? So let me create another response card. And this time, let's add another illustration. We were talking about the animal, so let's add illustration of an eagle, right? And let's use this one. Okay, so we added the illustration, and we are going to write the prompt this time, and we're going to say, what animal is this? Right. So if you want now the media to be the prompt, then you can have them, go together, like what animal is this, or you can say what animal is in the photo or in the picture or whatever, and then you can click on AI context and then generate. What this will do is it will merge the image that you attached to the prompt itself, and Speakable will know what the photo is about. You will know because when it's done, when it says it generated successfully, you will be able to see what Speakable thinks this is. You can do this with video, you can do this with text, you can do this with text-to-speech, audio files, and Speakable will generate a transcript of them if they are audio or video files. And if it's just an image, then it will just rate the image right then and there. So what happens with the AI context is, in the case that you're using video, make sure that you test it first. For example, in this case, it's taking a long time. I'm not sure if it's going to be successful. Let me try another one in the meantime. Wait, I didn't click. I did. Okay, so let me try another one in the meantime while this thinks, because I wanted to show you what happens if we attach a video. Let's attach it to the other side this time. And I'm not sure if this will work. Baby shark. So if you're teaching younger kids, then probably you're going to want to use something like this, like a kid's song or something like that. I'm not sure which one to use. Let's use the original one, I guess. But this is where I don't know if this will work. I don't know if this will work because the way this works with video is, well, let me ask the prompt. What song is this, for example? And then I attach the context. What may happen is that it might fail. You'll know that it failed because it will not display anything, or it will say like, warning, no context detected. If that's the situation, and that might be because of one of two reasons. Number one, the video that you're using, this is the case. Warning, the AI does not have the context for this video. And the reason why this happens is, number one, the video does not have text. So like Speakable doesn't watch the video, like the images, but Speakable reads the transcript of that video, right? But since if there are no words, then there's no transcript. So, okay, Speakable will not be able to read that. And in the case of this one, which is what I suspected, the context cannot be generated because some songs and some channels, YouTube channels, may have some algorithm that blocks the transcripts from being generated because of copyright infringement issues. So if that's the case, then Speakable will not be able to generate the transcript for you to use. So this is what will happen. However, in this case, oh, it didn't generate. Okay. In the case of another image, like this one, it knows. Like the image depicts a majestic bald eagle in mid-flight, showcasing its impressive wingspan. The eagle has a distinct white head and tail and feathers, contrasting with a rich brown body and dark wings. Okay, and it goes on, right? So if you want to use the image, then that's fine. You can, like with images, we have never found an issue. With video, always test it first in case it doesn't work. But anyway, now I can simply use it again. Let's go to the preview and let's see what it does. So if I am your student and I see this, like, okay, that is an eagle, right? Let me try again, actually. That is a bald eagle. Yep. And this, because I am answering the sentence, it will be, enough. However, if you want to ask more information about this, then you can change the prompt. So take a look at this. This was a good job. Your response clearly identifies the animal as a bald eagle. But I'm going to go back to the builder and I'm going to change the prompt. I'm going to say, describe this animal. Yeah. So now this is going to be a more complex thing for the student to resolve, right? So this is one way. For example, if you have students who are growing up and like the prompt will not be the same prompt will not be good for two different students depending on their age. So making the prompts progressively more complex, even whether there's video or not, will be your friend. But let's try this one, and I'm going to have to be more, I guess, to produce more language in this case. So that is a bald eagle. It has yellow feet and beak, white and gray head and tail, and the body is brown and black. Okay, so let's see now that my prompt is more complex. Let's see if it's going to be enough for this to be a passing score, and it is. However, you see, I hesitated. It's here. A white and gray head. Oh, sorry, a white head. It's not gray. And brown and black is okay. So it's giving me already some recommendations. So based on what I said, and take a look at this. It gives me some extra information. To enhance your answer further, consider including a bit about its behavior or habit to have a full picture. And if I click on the suggest response, okay, now. So since this is for a more proficient user, an older user perhaps, then because the prompt was already more complicated, then take a look at the suggest response. It is rather complex now. So the animal depicted is a bald eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom. It features a striking white head and tail. Okay, so like the more complex your prompt, the more demanding it will be, and the more complexity it will provide in the suggested response, right? So media, extremely important for speakable activities, but more so if you have younger audiences. Now, other little tweaks that I wanted to mention that are worth discussing if your students are young is, okay, you saw the feedback. It was rather long and rather, verbose, and probably my students will not be able to understand that. Then turn that off. Yeah, you can turn suggest a response off. The same thing with grammar insights. So in the grammar insights, the corrections will be like, oh, this preposition was selected incorrectly or whatever. But what if your students don't even know what a preposition is? That's fine. Simply turn that off. They will still get the good job or try again feedback without, digging too deep into their answers with, text that they might not even care to read. So if that's the case, then you can simply turn that off and just leave it to be the prompt, the media, and good job. Try again. That's it. So that's my recommendation for younger kids, again, if the feedback might be too much for them, right? Okay, so that is it regarding the response card. There are other things that we can do. So far we have been using the pass-fail system here, which is our standard grading system. So it's going to be good job or try again. But what if we want to to do more. By the way, I think I didn't show you how to or what happens if the answer is completely incorrect. So what animal is this? So I'm going to try that again, this time using this one. That is a gray elephant. So I'm clearly telling you the wrong answer here. I'm going to show you what happens if the answer is incorrect. So your response does not accurately answer the teacher's prompt. And yeah, it's just try again. So the students can try again, right? And that is what your students will see if you have the simple pass-fail grading system turned on, which is the default one. But if your students are very young, then you can try rubrics as well. This is something I would recommend normally for higher levels because rubrics are extremely useful for controlling every single aspect criteria that goes into the student's evaluation. But they can also help you for the opposite, to simplify things, right? So you can click on the rubrics to edit them. By default, this is the one that's selected. So it checks grammar, relevance, and completeness. And you can click here in the library, and you can select from a variety of ones like Speakable Prompt Evaluation Rubric, AP Exam, Email Section, WIDA Speaking Rubrics for English. Also, you might, for example, I created this one for complex media comprehension. So if you want your students to describe media, but into great detail, then you can add a rubric for this. Image description, prepositions of location, actful fluency. There are several things. CEFR, language proficiency rubric. So if you want to go complex, rubrics are your friend. But rubrics are your friend as well if you're planning on going super simple. So I can create a new rubric and I can tell the AI what I want. So I need a rubric to evaluate very simple sentences. There you go. For my elementary class. My students are very young, so keep it simple, right? So I can generate a rubric and I can tell the AI specifically that my students are very young, so I don't want any very complex feedback to be provided. And in this case, this was what it generated. So a rubric to evaluate simple sentence constructions for elementary students, and it evaluates sentence structure. And you can see the definitions. So the sentence is incomplete, doesn't make sense, or the sentence is structurally correct but contains minor errors, or the sentence is grammatically correct and well formed. Vocabulary usage, and again with their own different levels, and clarity and coherence. So if you want your students to, I guess, to get a very professional view of what your students are doing, but of course your students are very young, then you can use a rubric like this. When you're satisfied with your rubric, you can still tweak it. You can add more criteria, add more levels, remove levels. You can use this rubric, apply it to this card, all cards, or set as your default. So if you find your magic recipe, you can simply set it as your default. And in this case, I'm only going to apply it to this card. And now I told the rubric that my students are going to be young, so it's going to focus on very basic structures, right? So that way, even if your prompt is a little bit more complex, the rubric is going to allow you to be more lenient or forgiving when it comes to grading the students. Now, some little extra topics that I wanted to mention in this webinar. By the way, I wanted to engage the audience a little bit here. So changing the layout. Any questions so far? I know that we have audience on YouTube, Twitter, and StreamYard at the moment. So are there any questions that you have about any of the features? Remember, today we're focusing on younger students, but of course we're talking about older students as well as a contrasting thing. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm going back and forth between my Speakable screen and the StreamYard screen where I can see the comments in all platforms. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. All right, let me go back. Something else that might be very useful for teaching younger kids is focusing on syllables, right? And this is a controversial topic. So you would do this by going into repeat, and we're going to create a repeat card that is going to teach them the alphabet, for example. Yes, so you might be tempted to just go C. That's it. They have to repeat C. And if you click on it, it kind of works.
C.
However, there's a problem with this. It says not recommended for use. Remember when it says before, like, oh, not unverified or verified? Well, this time, if you're planning to use only a C or a monosyllabic answer or question, it says not recommended for use. And the reason is the way the repeat cards work is they work with your student's device directly, not like there's no AI involved, there's just voice recognition involved. So the audio file is not stored by Speakable or anything. Like your students will say it, and your computer will read, will hear the answer and transcribe it. Yes, and that transcription is a very key topic here, because the transcription of the sound C might be this, or it might be this, right? Or it might be this. So it could be C from I see things. It could be C from I can see the C from my window, right? So in those cases where you want to teach the alphabet, I recommend one of three approaches. Number one, give it more context in the form of a sentence. So C is for coconut, right? And then it will work. Let's see. C is for coconut. Bingo. C is for coconut. C is for coconut. I forgot that we had this set up to 3. Let me go back to 1. C is for coconut. C is for coconut. Okay. So this is my first recommendation. My second recommendation is to add an image, right? So let's do that. C is for coconut. And let's use an image that displays this. So C is for coconut. There you go. And I can do the same thing with grouping them. So C is for coconut, adding that as media and adding that here is a good approach. Another thing that you could do is group them. A, B, C, D. Yes. And now because I have 4 letters, when it hears C, it's not going to think, oh, C the ocean, C the verb, or B the animal. It's going to know that in this context, the C can only be one thing, the letter C. To reinforce that, I would still add media, and it would be like alphabet illustration. And I would still recommend that you add a little image so that the context is clear for your students. So in technical terms, the ABC is going to help your student's computer or voice recognition system, whatever device they're using, to understand that this C is not the C, but a C, the letter C, right? And or in this situation, the context of the coconut is going to let the system know that the C is the C that you want, right? So this is the thing with letters. Also happens to numbers. Like let's say in the case of English, this is not a huge deal because numbers tend to have very unique sounds, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tend to be very unique, and there are very few homophones. However, languages like French tend to be problematic with numbers. So because for example the number 2, deux, 1, 2, 3, 4, deux, that de could be the preposition. It could be the plural of an article. It could be the number. It could be many things. So again, if you're teaching French, for example, then I recommend grouping the numbers, not on and then another one with deux, but un, deux, trois, and then it will know that, okay, this deux is the number, deux, D-E-U-X. So that's like another recommendation for a monosyllabic answer. So if you're teaching a language that has lots of homophones, like in the case of French, well, in English to some extent, like we saw with the C, then I recommend that you provide more context. Like you can use words on their own. Like, for example, you can have a question like this one, right? But the English teachers already know what the problem is here. Do I want read or do I want read, right? So giving it context is going to solve your issue. So if I say, this a book yesterday, then it's going to be the past, guaranteed, right? Because the context is telling the system that it is the past. Let's test it.
I read a book yesterday.
I read a book yesterday. There you go. Yep. So it does book. And if you want to teach read, then of course, make sure that the context is in present. Let's test it. I read every day of the week. Bingo. Yep. So this is another way you can let's say solve those issues. But again, you can use single answers, single sentences like we did before.
Elephant.
Elephant. And it will work, right? It's just the homophones and heterophones that you have to pay attention to. Those can be a little tricky. Finally, just to wrap this up, let me make sure that there are no questions. Okay, no questions so far. Remember that you can automate everything that I have mentioned today. So to do so, you can click here on the AI Creator. And by the way, this is going to be the main topic of tomorrow's webinar. So if you want to go super deep on the AI Creator, then join tomorrow's webinar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Chatty what I need and what the age of my students, and Chatty will adapt. So, hi, Chatty. Chatty's our mascot, by the way. She's going to help us create the entire activity. So, hi, Chatty. I need a speakable activity for 5-year-olds. I need them to practice the animals. Please include 5 repeat cards, 3 respond cards, and 2 multiple choice cards. This is for beginner English learners, right? So a prompt should contain this. If your prompt is too vague, if you forgot to mention the language or the level or the specific topic, Chatty is going to ask you for it. And she's going to like give you a little rundown of what, or like a preview of what Chatty can do. And then you can do like, yeah, confirmed, create those. Or if your prompt was super complete to begin with, like if your prompt was very thorough to begin with, then it will go right ahead and start. So it's asking me some follow-up. So great, I'd be happy to help with that. Just to confirm, would you would like the activity to cover common animals and to include 5 repeat or not? Is there a particular set of animals or a particular thing you like to focus on, like farm animals, jungle animals, or pets? Additionally, any particular emphasis on vocabulary or phrases you'd like to include? Feel free to provide any specific details and I'll get started. So I'm going to say, just add any, important animals, or let's say famous. No, what should we say? Not important, but any popular animals. Any popular animals. No particular preference on type of animal. What else? Any particular emphasis on vocabulary? No, I'm just going to say this. No particular vocabulary that I would like to add. This should be a very basic activity to begin with. But anyway, so Chatty is going to adapt what you add. And even though Chatty, if Chatty already completed your activity and you already added it, you can go back and forth between like the content and the AI creator to keep editing. So one thing that I do recommend that you do always is, especially for younger audiences, is click the with images part. That will allow you to, in one click, well, in 2 clicks technically, add all the content with images included. So let's go see what Chatty did. So cat with the image of a cat, a dog with the image of a dog, an elephant, and so on. You can still tweak it. For example, I like this picture, but it's probably not the most, I guess, easy to see image. It's a cool photograph, but I'm not sure if for kids this would be best. So you can still go back and, for example, delete this one and add another one. So cow. and I'm going to add my own. There you go. This is a friendlier one. So you can still go back and edit these. The lion, I like this lion. What sound does a cat make? And of course, the answer is meow. Can you name a big animal that an animal that is big and gray? And you have the picture. This is a good way to have your students, like to encourage your students, or I'm not going to say TBR, total physical response, but let's say a multi-sensory approach to teaching. You can also have that, and cool little guessing games. You can create response questions to reflect this. Can you name a farm animal? And again, I like this picture as a person, but I don't like it for my image, so I'm going to change a different one. I'm going to add an image of an illustration of a farm, right? So that I give my students multiple choices when it comes to farm animals like this one. Again, if you want to include the picture as the context, you can click on AI context. But I mean, the AI creator is a good first step. So you can start any activity, regardless of the age, with the Speakable Assistant with Chatty, and then go back to the content and edit it and make sure that it is appropriate, change the amount of repetitions necessary, change the pictures if you need it, add some videos if you want, because I mean, Chatty, the AI creator will add images, but will not add videos automatically. So if you want to add a video, you can also do it. And you can do videos on their own without any questions attached by adding a media page as well. So that's something else you could do to make your activity more attractive. But anyway, I'm going to delete this one that is empty. And I'm just going to go ahead and preview my activity. So the animals, the elephant is very big. What your students would see, the elephant is very big. The elephant is very big. There you go. So remember, it asked me twice because I had set it up to 3 actually, and then I reduced it to 2. So you can change that in the settings. So what animal is this? A tiger. Let's answer incorrectly to this one. What is your name? My name are Maria. Yeah, so I didn't show you what happened. I know I did show you, but what happens when the student's answer is incorrect is they will see the correction there. Anyway, so this is what your students will like, what your students' experience would be. I already answered this one.
C is for coconut.
C is for coconut. I can change the voice. Remember, elephant, and those are the ones we created.
B, C, D.
This is the one that didn't work because of copyright.
Cat.
And these are the ones created by the AI creator.
Dog. Elephant.
There you go. That's a good way to adapt speakable activities to younger audiences. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have for today. And let me know if you have any questions while you type them. I'm going to I guess share some information. We are going to have more sessions like every week for a few more months, or for a couple of months, just to make sure that everyone has the tools necessary to teach with Speakable. We're going to have one tomorrow that goes super deep into that last thing I mentioned, the AI creator, the AI builder. On Thursday, we're going to focus more on Speakable for creative subjects. Like, for example, if you're running a literature module, or if you want your students to write better, if you want your students to practice for a play, for example, then Speakable can be used for that. And that's going to be Thursday's topic. And on Friday, we're going to have a deep dive on one of our plans, Teacher Pro. So as you know, we have free, Teacher Pro, and Organization. And we're going to go over the differences between them, but we're going to make a specific emphasis on Teacher Pro, what it has, let's say, over the free version, and what it doesn't have compared to the Organization version. The difference we're going to explain on Friday. And next week's webinars will be announced later this week. But anyway, that's all I have. I see no questions for now, even though we have audience on both, on StreamYard, Twitter, and YouTube. Let me know if you have any questions. If you are interested in experiencing a little bit more, then you can always apply for a pilot. So if you want to test it, but not by yourself, but as a team of teachers, then let me know. Let me know in the comments, or shoot us an email, or go to our website and you can tell us there if you're interested in taking a pilot program. So this could be done at a school level, department level, the way you want it, and yeah, that will you have access to all the features, and let us know if those are for you or not. And yep, that's it. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and see you tomorrow in the one about the builder. Have a good one.